So Korean natural farming is all about the biology, all about these simple transformations we can make. Similar with this, where before it was a waste product, introduce beneficial biology, now it becomes a resource. 10% of the animal's feed for my pigs can actually come from the floor. So what comes out gets recycled around, the biology grows, the proteins are restructured so that they're bioavailable. The pig, actually 10% of the floor or food can come from the floor. Go tell that to any other pig farmer. Go tell that to our regulation agencies, and they will look at you like you are crazy. Because to them, that is a waste product that needs to be put into a lagoon so that your neighbors will move away. Because that is much safer.
When you go back to food, how long does that process take to be ready?
The pigs will know when it's ready.
No, they'll just snack.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep. The other thing, as a Korean natural farmer, you can leave your pigs for up to 3 days without feeding them, and they will eat the floor. And then when you come back, you can help them out. So instead of having animal husbandry where you have to be there every day to help out your animals, you can actually have this little bit of delay because the system will be self-sufficient for them for a few days to help them out. So it's another nice feature of Korean natural farming. You're not going to come back and they're going to be like knee-deep in their own waste. It's actually self-sufficient. So everyone got to go smell that bucket. You're smelling the waste side of the pen. Did it smell good?
Yeah.
So better than good. Like we're like, wow, this ain't bad. Like if someone coated you in that and you had to lay down in it, you'd be like, all right, not bad. Right? Like to me, this smells like rich forest floor. It is the microbes that are eating this waste that are creating that nice, pleasant forest floor smell. My pigs, instead of standing on a concrete floor where I come at them with a hose every day and they're standing on a luxurious, soft ground where their joints and their knees, they're not getting arthritis because they're not standing on this hard thing. They're comfortable. When they go to lay down, they're not laying on a cement thing that's cold and sucks energy out of you. They're laying on a living, somewhat warm floor because it's composting. They're really happy. They can dig a little bit, do their natural rooting instincts right into the floor. And when you go to a Korean natural farming piggery, instead of having the pigs all run to the back and all run away from you, they actually come up to you. It's a sign the animal likes you. It likes who's taking care of it. It likes the situation it's in if it's coming over to you. Go to any other piggery, they'll run away from you. Immediately, all the animals will run to the back. I'm able to get in my pig pen with my pigs and pet them. They get a lot of pets. They're really happy pigs. When they have keikis and there's a whole bunch of keikis, I can go in there and I can sit down on the ground with them and just pick up the little pigs and pet them and make sure they're all super happy. And baby pigs are so awesome. They're so cute. I got I think I might just make a YouTube channel just dedicated to filming my little pigs. Be a star. And so there's huge benefits. Your neighbors, if you're raising pigs, this is the biggest expansion of Korean natural farming. Many folks raise a pig in their yard, and their neighbors hate them. What this enables you to do is pretty inexpensively set up this system literally like a 10 by 10 square, build this system, and now your neighbors won't even know you have pigs. The Hubbles live right in Hawaiian beaches, right on, I think it's Punavai Street, or the one right above Kiani Poko, the street there with the well on it. You turn right at the stables, Ed Mocha. Their neighbors did not know they had pigs for like the first 3 years they had pigs. When they went to feed them, they heard some little squeals, some commotions and stuff. They didn't know what it was, because they certainly didn't assume it was pigs, because they would have smelled them, right? How do you know a pig's around? Well, you smell them. In this case, they had the pigs. Their neighbors didn't know they had them until they invited them over. And they're like, whoa, that's what that noise was. It really was pigs. We were trying to decide what makes that noise but doesn't smell. I'll put this piece up. Unless anyone else wants a sample. Which I'm not going to give to you. So Carlos and I had an interesting idea. And I think this is just about to... So Korean natural farming started with the pigs about 8 years ago. If you heard Mike DuPont's talk about it, he said basically Master Cho came into his office and said, I have a way to raise pigs with no smell. Mike's been in livestock, CTAR agent at the university since forever, and he just laughed. He was like, ha 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 ha, yeah right, you got a thing. But Dr. Park and Master Cho were persistent. They knew Mike was going to be crucial. They said, look, we'll buy you a ticket to come to Korea. Mike flew to Korea, started to see the pig pens. The first one he saw, wasn't like unbelievable, didn't realize it was like true. Went to the next one, saw the same thing happening. By the third one, he was convinced, okay, this system is legit. Like something they're doing is legit. He then has brought this system here to Hawaii. They put in a pig pen up at Tang's Farm, up in Mountain View, right behind Island Fruit stand, if you're OG around here and remember that. It was a great venture that had nice organic stuff and one of the sweetest ladies to run it. They put in moisture sensors at the bottom and some other concrete floor. After 5 years of running this pig pen, not a single bit of the moisture sensors are activated. So there is no wastewater penetrating down. It's not like it's just seeping down to the bottom and disappearing. It actually, the moisture is not penetrating through the bottom. They then got that written up as a NRCS approved waste management plan for livestock. So building the system the way they outline, you actually got to put in a plastic liner, but it is NRCS approved, which means you can get federal funding to put and cost share program to get your money back from NRCS, which is the federal government, to USDA, to build these systems. I think the system was put in, it's almost a decade old now. Still not a single smell through it. So what Mike was able to do is to get the NRCS and these federal agencies to approve these processes here, which then we can take all across America. So there are some going in Louisiana now. There's one going in San Francisco Bay Area. There are, I think, some going in Maine. So no matter what climate you're in, steamy Louisiana all the way up to like temperate, kind of cold Maine, this system works. It's approved here, so it's approved anywhere. You just have to have those agents call these agents here and to say, yes, it works. they probably won't believe you. But then they'll come visit, and they'll walk into your pig pen, and they won't want to leave. So I've heard, getting back to Carlos, I've heard all kinds of problems where people are abandoning areas. Piggery moves in, it's approved by whatever. The people in a 5-mile radius can no longer live there. You just can't handle it. You can't go outside, you can't stay inside, it's like you don't even want to go home. All those houses are really cheap. Go buy those houses. Go buy the pig pen. Switch to this method. Boom.
KNF community right there.
Right? This also pigs and animals and livestock outcasted farming to the country. Right? Not in my backyard, even though this used to be backyard stuff. Outcasted agriculture, right? So we have to now move all the waste here. You know, pigs used to be a garbage disposal. Now you have to collect all the garbage here, truck it way out to where they are, and then truck them back in so we have them eat. It destroyed the agricultural loop because a lot of times it's not as, you know, like picking up the waste to go feed the pig. It's not worth it, right? And so we've destroyed that loop. This technology, this simple thing here, enables you to bring the pigs back into your city. So imagine if in the core of Choa there was Korean natural farming pig pen right next to Malama Market or right next to Island Naturals. Wherever you're getting your produce, your groceries, you come back, you take your compost, your food waste, your rich stuff, you feed it to those pigs. Because you're no longer composting, right? You're making IMOs, you're making better stuff here, you got all this food waste, what am I going to do with it? Now you start feeding your animals with it. So right on the back of Island Naturals, boom, Korean natural farming pig pen. Part of the pork share, you know, you weigh your stuff out and then you get credit for your pork coming back to you. This reinvigorates this loop of getting the agriculture back in. Takes the burden off the farmer. Farmer doesn't have to go collect all this food waste. People are bringing it to them in the core of our cities. This is something I see. This is something the Hawaii I want to live in. Where it's like, and then, you know, the pigs at Island Naturals have little piglets. Your kids come, they're like, oh, piglet, you know. It'd be hard, they won't want to go to the park anymore. They'll just be like, bro, let's go over there and hang out with the little pigs.
Go play with the pigs.
And they're going to be cleaner after that. Right? They come out of the pig pen, they're coated in beneficial microbes. They're coated in these aerobic, loving microbes that's going to build their microbiome. These kids are not even going to get sick. I mean, all this stuff, they're like, oh, their immune system is so robust and diverse just because they went to go play with the little cute kids.
They're a babysitting service too.
Right? Build another deep litter system, take off their diapers, just let them run. So, I see this as a huge change in agriculture. Whereas right now our meats and our things are Dr. Park says it as a physician. He says you're getting more antibiotics by eating meat than you ever do from visiting a doctor's office. 80% of pharmaceuticals manufactured in America go to livestock. So think of how many pharmaceuticals and stuff your friends, whoever, are taking. 80% of them are going to animals. So all of us, whether we know it or not, we're always, you know, if you are choosing to eat meat, you are ingesting those things. Unless you know it's a wild animal or you know a Korean natural farmer. I have pigs, I don't need to vaccinate them. I don't need to ever give them antibiotics. Now that I got an improved water system, I don't have to worm them. Before, if you use stagnant water, they get worms. It's kind of gross. They get all fat and then they get real skinny. But all these systems, you don't need to do these things. You set up the system right, they're so robust. The meat you get is on real good because the animal's not stressed. It's standing on this luxurious floor. It's at the Four Seasons all week, you know? Like, you work hard, you're like, bro, I wish I could do that. But they're hanging out in the most prime locations. So the meat you get doesn't have the same stress that you would get from a hog that's in a small pen, that's uncomfortable, that's always on edge, that's always running away from you. It's coming from this happy animal that you have this exchange with. It's really like, you know, it's unreal how good this stuff is. So how is this system set up? Talked a lot about it. It's actually extremely simple for hogs or swine. It's right here at the bottom. So this was an old graphic that I put up, and you know, I'm amazed. There's folks in Africa that email me. They have completely changed their life. They have completely changed their whole village. That us here, it's so easy. We just go to the store. I mean, you can go Costco and buy a whole cart full of pig for like next to nothing. But around the world, it's like they don't have that same luxury. You know, we're actually, I mean, I'm not going to get into that. But guys will email me where this has changed their entire life. You know, I just got a Facebook message the other day. This guy, like, he's like, I no longer buy vegetables. I just do this. And I hope to get 100% of my food coming from these systems. And so I'm just always humbled. Like, I just made this simple graphic, you know? And it's changing these people's lives in the most, like, fundamental, foundational way. And it's just this simple of, you take a building. Okay, so we're going to start up here on the left side. This building here. But it's nothing more complex than what we're in already. I've seen guys make it out of this Hawaiian garage material. Just pole tent, roof like that. As simple as that. If you're able to build a fancy building like this, then you might even be able to convince your homeowners association that it's cool and I can keep hairless dogs on my land. Don't tell them pigs, because they ain't gonna believe you. But there's some engineering here. The west and the east are in certain directions. Because what happens is the sun moves over and it heats up this roof. When the roof gets hot, it actually sucks the air up and sucks the air in through these walls here. So this roof here, like the drawing I couldn't show, but essentially it's at least 8 feet that you need between the roof and the top of the pen. And you need ventilated sides because as that roof heats up, it's going to suck in the air and it's going to create airflow. Airflow is super vital, and the air is going to flow out through this top here, this little slit in the top. So if you've been to Otto Ossie's pig pen, he put girders, kind of like, you see how this building here has these posts coming down, and then his vent was over there? It actually, Master Choa, when we were there, was like, you should try to get rid of those. Like, structurally, you got to think about it, but essentially what was happening is the hot air was trying to go out through his top, but it was getting stuck on one of these beams, and his airflow wasn't as good as it could have been. So you really got to think about this building for certain considerations. Like, Hawaiian garage, no problem, that's going to go right out. You know, spend less on that, got it going, you know.
Okay, what about just having just no roof?
No roof is not a possibility. This roof is designed certain ways to get the air to actually flow. So even on a hot day, I go in my pig pen, it's cool. If I was just out in the bare sun, oh, it would not be cool. I'd still be sweating. My pigs would be like, I hate you. But it's cool. It's cool. The air is circulating, it's flowing. The roof also protects this floor down below. If this floor gets wet, it fails. It is vitally important this floor stays dry. So the floor is really simple. I put this lining on here, this plastic lining around the outside. My pig pens do not have plastic lining. I have less than 4 pigs. If you have less than 4, you do not need to do this. As soon as you get that 5th pig, you now need to file with the state health department, the county, and perhaps even USDA if you have more than 4. Less than 4, you can do whatever you like. You can keep the pigs in, you can keep 4 or less pigs in your house. They don't care. As soon as you go over that 5th pig, you now have to have this plastic liner. And this is to get this, pretty much you go in, stamped approval.
With piglets or
Nope.
adult pigs?
Yeah, because I get 12 to 13 pigs per litter, and it's as soon as they're bigger than wean-off size. So my goal is to run 4 sows, well actually 3 sows and a boar, and always have the wean-offs coming out as a cakey business plan for what I'm doing. So the liner goes in here, then on the bottom is charcoal. In mine, I don't have charcoal. I didn't put this much. That's a very expensive ingredient. But if you are going to go over your 5th pig, your 5 or more, you gotta do this. What I did was I just put the logs. So these are as big of logs as you can possibly get. I think coconut trunks, those are awesome. Great resource. But big logs, and they're also nice because they're easy to stack. But big logs, you want them to at least be about 6 feet or larger. If you put in a bunch of short logs, the pigs will dig them up and they'll all come up to the surface and your pig pen won't last. So long logs. Then you put green waste on top. So in my case, I cut down a tree nearby. I got all these logs. The green waste was actually kind of a challenge for me. So I ended up filling it up with wood chips in one. I would have liked to have access to the dump mulch. That makes it real easy to just fill this thing up with dump mulch. I used banana in one of mine. Because banana stump, I figured, easy, just chop down the banana. The banana lasted about a month. The pigs were like, just gonna eat this banana. What? Pretty soon they were just on the logs. And I was like, oh man. So for like a month or two, my mom, she has a lot of compassion for the animals. She's like, you better fill that up. But still yet, no smell on the logs because the IMOs were in there. But this green waste is persistent. It makes that comfortable floor for them. They don't like being on the logs. You fill this thing up with green waste. They're in there. Dump mulch is a good idea. If you're gonna get dump mulch, don't just dump a whole bunch and expect the floor to work. You gotta then treat it with lactobacillus and the IMOs for several weeks before you put your animals in there. Or treat it outside before you actually put it into the pen if you got an existing pen going. If you put dump mulch straight into here, the system fails. It's too much foreign biology. You want the good stuff.
Great. Can you use Albesia logs?
Absolutely. That's a huge resource for you guys out here. We'll turn all that stuff into pigs. Delicious
Can you use
bacon.
Can you use biochar instead of charcoal? If it's small scale, I'm thinking on rabbit terms.
So I'll get into the considerations after. The charcoal is biochar, just so you know. That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking about going and buying briquettes like match light. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about charcoal like burnt wood. What I did is in this upper spot where it says green waste. That's where I added my char. I threw a decent amount of char into each one, maybe 3 5-gallon buckets or enough so that it's in there. I didn't put a layer at the bottom. Put it into this upper stuff. I also put a fair amount of dirt. Not a whole lot, maybe, but enough that when we went up to Otto Ossie's pen, Master Choa was there, his thing was smelling a little, not as no smell as mine. Mine is like, you go there, like literally no smell. I mean, you roll around and the stuff, be totally cool. His little bit more smell. Master Choa said, hey, you got this green waste from the dump, and there is this chunk, and that chunk, and the microbes that are on these chunks can't interact with each other. So put a little dirt in there, and a little bit of dirt makes that bridge between the chunks of stuff. So now the microbes can move through everything you got. You just have all these airspace kind of things, it doesn't function as well. So a little bit of dirt in between.
One of the questions is, how deep is this stuff?
So the scale here, this is a 4-foot deep system
14.
for pigs. If you have different animals, you're raising horses, you're raising goats, you're raising whatever, and you want to do the same system, the floor kind of scales with the animal. They do cows in Korea. The thing is about 6 feet. So it's about 3 feet of logs, 3 feet of green waste for cows. Bigger animal, heavier, it needs a little bit more, creates a little bit more waste than swine. So it's essentially 2 feet of wood chips, green waste, 2 feet of logs, and the charcoal down below. And I use an iron roof. It's about this height. And so when you're standing at my pig pen, you're actually standing up top of this because we kind of built it into the ground. If you go visit, maybe go get some consulting with Kim Chang, you'll see she built an independent box up off the ground. Because in my case, it was easy. I just cut into a hill and moved the dirt to that side and had a nice level spot kind of sunk in. So it's at flush with ground level. But Kim's is out here on the rock and it's up. It's up, you know, hip height. And then her hog paneling starts to contain the pigs.
How deep is the charcoal?
I don't know. I was not there. Oh, on my diagram, yeah, 6 inches. Yep. It also has a nice description of what I'm talking about here. And this is the graphic that's online that people just. I seen a guy in Africa make this all out of hollow tile. So that's the material he used for the bottom, hollow tile to frame it in. Put his poles into that. Was able to then put hog paneling up top, keep his animals in. Fairly easy. So, building design matters. The floor design matters. Main thing is don't get it wet. If it gets wet, those microbes that are aerobic, oxygen loving, get drowned in the non-oxygenated water and they pass away. And then the microbes that stink, that are used to no oxygen, take over your system. How do you fix it? Ooh. Lactic acid bacteria. Come into that spot and I say, oh, it stinks. Call in the emergency workers, the National Guard, the police, the firemen. They are the lactic acid bacteria. Bring them in, they'll fix the scenario up. Say my neighbor has pigs and they are not practicing this way and they stink, or they have chickens, or they have whatever animal that's causing a smell. Go spray LAB. Give them a solution. Say, hey, check this out. You know, maybe go in there, spray it for them the first time. Spray it. It'll last 3 to 5 to maybe a week's worth of time before it starts to stink again. Because all that other biology, you called in the National Guard on it. They kind of restored this order, but you didn't ultimately fix the scenario, which is that you need this deep litter system to to create an environment for the IMOs to thrive. This is essentially a forest, right? What happens in the forest? Logs fall, leaves fall on top of that. This is a forest floor. A really healthy forest floor. So you need this persistent environment down below to eliminate the smell once and for all. But in a short-term scenario, lactic acid bacteria will restore that. My system, now that I got it set up, the only thing I have to do is put a little bit more green waste on the top every so often. I would say it's every 6 months or so. It needs maybe, well, every 3 months it needs about 6 inches or so, because it's continually composting and it's continually going down. Plus the animals are eating it, and it's kind of just getting digested. The older the system gets, the sweeter and better it is. I can also harvest about 1/3 of the system each year if I want to use this agriculturally. So say I got all my bananas, my whole feed system right around my pigs, I can harvest 1/3 of their pig pen and use that as if it's IMO 4, IMO 5, spread that around. So now my pigs are working for me in terms of they're making some of the best, most rich compost around. And I can harvest that out.
And that's how long before you harvest it?
1 year.
1 year.
However, I recommend you just keep it going, just pull out a little bit. I just take a shovel full out kind of at a time, fill up a 5-gallon bucket, sprinkle that around where I need it. This comes out dark, rich, really dank stuff. Tastes pretty good too.
You're using 100 square feet as an example, which is 10 by 10. How many pigs do you keep in your 100 square feet?
So what I have is a 12 by 14, and I have 4 of those pens. Each is designed for 1 sow in each one, right? And one boar and 1 sow. So it's 1 pig per. What I could do is raise 2 pigs, kind of up to like just about 200 pounds each in that same scenario. Would still work. What they often do in Korea is they'll take out the middle divider that I have, and it is a like 3 meter by, well, basically a 12 by 27, where they run much higher density, maybe 5-6 pigs in that. The systems I've seen in Korea, I've seen them run the small scale this way, no smell, awesome. I've seen some other ones where he's pushing the limits of it, where he just fills it up with rice hulls, goes through most of these practices, but after he's done turning that many pigs, and there's a smell. There's a smell. Luckily he doesn't have neighbors right near him. It's not like where it's like manure lagoon, like your eyes start watering kind of smell, but there is a definite smell. He's running them on a little bit higher density, and he's designed it so that he can get a bobcat directly in there and scrape out the stuff after running the market pigs through each time. So he's running them up to about 200 pounds and then cleaning out the floor each time, because it is not a permanent no smell system like this. He didn't even put logs, and there is smell. But there's all kinds of considerations you make on, economics and what you're doing and how much maintenance you want to put. That's a full-time job for this guy of maintaining the pigs. Whereas ours is literally, half hour a day for 4 pigs to go make their food, make sure they're okay, and be done with it.
Does mycelium ever play a function in this? Mycelium fungus?
So that's a great question. So he's asking about the fungus. That's what's persistent in this bottom. That's what, as soon as, the reason you keep the floor dry is because the microbes are in there dry and the pig waste comes out wet. As soon as this wet pig waste hits the ground, it's the only source of microbes, or the only source of moisture for all of this mycelial fungus microbes, and they immediately colonize the poop. Like to them, it's like luxury, like water, like hallelujah, it's happened. Like, and they go up there immediately. And that's why the only smell you get is when the pig is actually in the act. And a little bit of gas is coming out. Like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know, you look around, you see which animal's in the act. As soon as they're done, smell's gone again. So it just sucks the moisture out. And that's the mycelial, the fungus. That is why you're building a simulated forest floor, because you are culturing the microbes that would be in that forest floor.
So basically it's a mushroom.
Basically. It's way more diverse than that. Because the diversity is there, you won't typically see mushrooms. But this system works here. I put some other little graphics from Master Cho's book in here, talking about the different areas, the farrowing pen, these types of things. One thing that's nice if you're going to share this with folks in different climates is that you don't have to heat the building, nor do you have to cool the building. Because the airflow, the way it's designed, it works. In the winter, you just shut the sides. Now it heats itself because the floor is alive. This even works in Siberia. So that's the coolest place I can think of that people live, and it works there.
Do you want to tell the story about the Beijing Olympics?
Okay. So how Master Cho got famous was he has been doing this no-smell pigs for a while. The Chinese army travels with their pigs. That's their primary food source. They don't eat MREs. They eat like real food, and they travel with their food. And so they travel with pigs. And so the Beijing Olympics are coming up. I think it's 2008 was the Olympics there. And they didn't want to have an uprising of the people. So they were bringing a big military unit into the city to basically, just suppress anything that would rise up. They were afraid, though, however, by bringing that many soldiers and bringing that many pigs in, they themselves would cause a revolt. So people would be like, oh, no, you didn't just stink this area out. So the general, whoever it was, the super high-ranking guy, caught wind that Master Cho could raise pigs without smell. And he went and he searched them out and he said, how do you do this? So Master Cho came, consulted for them, showed them how to do this type of pig raising. They designed these systems, they moved the unit into the city. They raised pigs this way. It worked. No revolt. They awarded Master Cho their highest civilian medal for his work there. That really put him on the map in terms of that's because he doesn't have I think he might have a high school degree. I don't even know if he does. He might even just only gone to elementary school. But he doesn't have any college credentials or anything. And so people, when he says stuff, they don't trust him. But with this medal, it gave him a foothold into the whole credential system. People now listen to him, it's like, oh, he has a medal, clearly he has something he's doing. So, and he also got into veterinary school because he was so awesome. He told me the story last time we were in Korea, where he was going to veterinary school and they wouldn't let him in. But then his cousin was friends with a guy, and then he showed him the thing. And anyway, he ended up going to a really prestigious veterinary school too. And he wasn't academically qualified, but physically practical in the real world. He was one of the best students there, and really then changed their agricultural systems that they were teaching. So, little side story.
Question.
Yes.
You might have mentioned it, I might have missed it, but once you set this up, how long do you have to wait before you can actually introduce the pigs into it?
Okay, great question. So I've gone and I've set this system up. I put in my liner, I put my logs, put my charcoal, put my thing, got my NRCS permits, which took maybe 2 to 3 months. It takes maybe 6 months if you go through the system, but if you call the lady and consult the same lady that works in the office, she'll get it done in 2 weeks. So think of that for what we do. Anyway, I tripped out on that.
Her name.
I do have her card, or you can check out Mike. He has all this stuff. And he'll probably point you back to me. Great. So I set this stuff up. What do? Now I come and I spread IMO 4 on the top of this. And or if you make an IMO tea that's really good and you soak the top layer with it, you're going to be good as well. But I sprinkled IMO 4 on top, and I treat it just like my soil foundation. I water it with FPJ, BRV, OHN, which is a maintenance solution, and some lactic acid bacteria mixed into it. Also at that time, I can scatter a little bit of sea salt, or you can water seawater in, and that really helps this system take a foothold, I guess, or build their homes. But you're essentially, just like we're doing soil foundation, you're putting it just across the top and then you're watering it in. And within 2 weeks, because this system's so rich and so designed of doing that, you're going to be in business. This whole thing is going to be available for you. If you're using dump mulch or a questionable source, maybe wait 3 to 4 weeks before you introduce your animals. But in our case, I sprinkled the IMO, and literally within the next 5 days, we had the animals up there in the system. It was fully functional. In the beginning, I used to get a little bit more flies, kind of like the gnat things, not like the flies that land on like picnic lunch, the black ones, but like the little gnat type flies and little, I don't know what they are, flies that would be there. Now that it's richer and it's really, the wood chips have broken down, and it's not raining, so I'm not getting like little misty drift across. There's literally no flies at all. And they're certainly not interested in buzzing you. They kind of stay over there, the little gnats, right on the area that they're making waste. It's not like they're across the entire floor. They're just right in that little zone. I recently had Texas A&M University come out to study my system. They were interested in necrology, which is how corpses decay. These guys were like the CSI Texas A&M unit. And they came to study my no-smell floor because the way the microbes work, it's different. I told them the story of where I had a dead pig that I had shot, and I put IMO on it, no flies on it, not even rigor mortis happening. I went and I dragged it out of the greenhouse to go drag it, but it was a super hot day, and I was like, I'm gonna go drink some water before I drag this whole thing across to where I was gonna put it. Went inside the house to go drink water, came back, and it was coated in flies, and rigor mortis had taken over. So the microbes just laying in my microbe pile being there completely changed the way decay and the things naturally happen. So I happened to tell them that story while they were there, but they were mostly there with these little suction cups in this little box that like sucked up smell, and they were measuring the amount of smell. I just heard from Mike DuPont that they got funding for the big project they were trying to do. So they're doing a little pilot study, getting a little bit of data, and now they're going to go out and get this thing funded. So there could be huge amounts of research happening in these no-smell systems.
What was their goal?
Get money.
Well, I mean, what's the research project looking for?
How much money the researchers can get.
We're talking CSI necrology, and I'm like,
no, I don't know, and it's the weirdest thing. So University of Hawaii has been only so like lukewarm to natural farming. They kind of like wish it wasn't in their backyard, I think. So the pig pen that Mike built up in Mountain View, University of Florida funded it. Now the research here where we got this thing, you'd think University of Hawaii would be on it. They're still like, no, Texas A&M is funding it. So there are these other progressive, forward-thinking universities that want to study this, want to get this literature out there. No offense if anybody's in those systems, I imagine you feel the struggle as well. but so this is how it's going. I don't know what they're going to do with this information. I don't know. But the more scientific, peer-reviewed papers we get that shows this is how we can go other places and get this. Imagine all those CAFOs, the concentrated animal feeding operations, switch to this. Like, there's no reason they can't. Like, you can go into an existing system and retrofit it in like a few days and get this thing going. And so I see a huge evolution coming, involution coming as people find out, like, oh, we want to be nice to these animals. We want to have them really a good quality of life, and this system provides that. Still got to go in and pet them, but.
Agribusiness is all about the money.
Right.
And so it's like trying to convince a conventional agribiz farmer with, thousands and thousands of acres who's killing the soil and rounduping everything, that there's a better way. It's like, well, this is the way we've always done it, and this is how we make money, and you can't make money unless you have thousands of acres and use all this poison. It's there's going to be that 100th monkey thing.
So the way we are shifting the paradigm is it's hugely successful in Hawaii. We're bringing these guys in. The National Farmers Union will be bringing 8 of their presidents to David Wong's operation on Oahu and seeing it. And at first, when even the state inspectors coming into David Wong's operation, they thought he was coming in at night and cleaning up the poop. But once he got to 200 pigs, they realized he wasn't doing that. So now they just think it's magic. And it is to a certain degree, because I don't have the ability to go through and do all this science and figure out which exact microbe, like what was his name? Was it Stephen or Paul that was doing the work, right? I just know Stephen or Paul does it, right? We just call him Mike. Robe.
So for farmers in our area who want to grow food or produce livestock, to implement these types of methods, is it like recognized by like certified organic or
Yes.
Beyond organic, or do the federal agencies recognize it as being something like good?
Yes. So yes. So we're working with organic certification on all these things. If you do them at home and you make them, organic certified already. As soon as I sell you some of the inputs, it becomes questionable. But for this here, this is recognized as a USDA NRCS approved best practice for raising pigs. So this flooring system you have here, if you go through there, basically you can go get a document where you just stamp certain parts and fill out, like how far are you from this highway and how much water is flowing through your area, and there's a whole method you go through. You will then be approved with little to no fuss. The research has been done. They know this system. In fact, majority of the agents, like, this is what they want to see going in, because it's less hassle for them in the long run. Like, what are you going to do with your waste? Well, in this system, you don't have to have a waste like an external waste management plan, because the waste is all eaten up on the floor. So you don't, like other guys with a manure lagoon and all these other things have all these other hassles they got to deal with. Like, what are you going to do with all the waste? This one, it's eaten up on the floor, so they're happy to see these systems going in. And it's totally approved.
For pigs, but what about for people who grow food and want to sell that?
That's where we're working on it. It's a lot easier to do the pigs. Believe it or not, because pigs are pigs, right? And doesn't matter what variety of pig it is, a pig. Versus plants, there's all kinds of different considerations. Like, oh, now you're growing lettuce, you're growing, apples, So we're trying to simplify it down, figure out the root common denominator. If you're interested in that, please help us collaborate, because we want to see these methods go forward. I'm taking the steps, and it's happening. We're building a good team to make that happen. So, question?
I want to go back to the paper.
Yeah.
The top 2 diagrams of the pens, the one on the left talks about sawdust, local soil, and sea salt. And on the right-hand side, and it's like, how does that relate to what we're talking about down here? Additional things like replacement?
So that is a great question about the sawdust and then these additional things. What we have found here in Hawaii is the sawdust is too fine of a material. So the heat it generates, the pigs sweat and they're uncomfortable in the situation. So using sawdust, we do not recommend. These diagrams are from Master Cho's books, and they're using rice hull instead of sawdust in Korea. We don't have access to cheap rice hull. We have access to a lot of green waste here. For the tropics, you need that larger particulate size, otherwise it's too hot for them. There have been a few piggeries that have used sawdust and they were unhappy. They actually removed it to use green waste.
How about wood chips?
Wood chips are excellent. That's what I use in my system.
What about the lawn?
Not needed. Yeah.
And how much do you chop up the banana stalk? You cut it into like the size of wood chips, or is it?
Not recommended.
Oh, not.
Do not use banana stalk. I mentioned it because I said you could use it.
Oh, it's on this list.
Where?
Right here.
Number 4 under building requirements.
Oh, not recommended. Cross that off there. I gotta. Unless you want to be doing it every month.
No, I don't.
Okay.
So they just eat it, right?
Yeah. And so banana stalks is okay if you want to be doing it every month. Say you're a banana farmer and you want to get your stock and you want to, awesome. But not recommended. Thanks for this. I'm in the process of updating all these things. I'm giving them out, but I'm really thanks for these questions and a live update here.
Sugar cane works really well to maintain the bedding as well as feed for the pigs.
Correct.
Are you going to talk about this in terms of chickens?
Yeah, so everyone cool with this so far?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna deal with a few questions. I'm gonna move on to chickens. So
I'm just wondering about feral pigs. How does that affect, the success?
feral pigs.
We got so many feral pigs in our neighborhood. I'm concerned that they would, be destructive, want to mate.
Oh, I have a lot of feral pigs where I'm at. I don't find any problem with them. I have an AK-47 and I also have dogs. So between them two, I'm well fed.
So the second thing is. The second thing is when Mike was here, it was, then what do you do with these pigs? And so to off these beautiful animals, I'm kind of sensitive around it, so I would want somebody else to do that. Is there actually a system, or is there a talk about a system whereby they can be harvested?
Sell them live.
Okay, so what we do at our place is we sell keikis. So you can sell a keiki between $125, $150 right now at wean off age. And you just literally there's a swine co-op. So you just Deborah Hersey's running it. Float it to her saying we got pigs, we're gonna be off at this time. They will take care of that. The pig industry is really taking off on a grassroots level. If you want to process the meat and sell it, there's a mobile slaughterhouse. So go call the state and tell them we need an inspector for it. Because I went down to the airport the other day and there were 6 guys there to take my bag through that little x-ray thing. Yet there is not an inspector available for our mobile slaughterhouse. So call them and tell them you need to redistribute your resources so that we can get the things we need. Because there is a way, and then you could sell your meat out. You can also take it down to Kulana Foods and the other, even the Pauilo slaughterhouse will take care of your animals that way if you want to go that route.
But Rick, those are feral pigs, right?
They will not take wild animals.
Right.
So wild animals, call up Uncle, he's going to smoke them for you.
Okay, so you said when you first started this, you watered it with a maintenance solution?
Correct.
How often do you do that in the first 2 weeks, just like when it feels dry?
Twice.
Once a week?
Twice, yeah, once a week, twice. Okay. Yeah, you're good to go. Question?
A couple questions. So how big is your farm thing?
12 by 14.
no crates.
Okay. And then what do you do to keep that 4 feet of stuff in?
So, okay, so the question is, what do I do to keep the 4 feet of stuff in? It is framed in, I framed it in 2x4 and then I put iron roofing on. So down at the bottom, it is in that, and I don't fill it directly up to the brim. I leave it down about, 3-4 inches down so that they're just not pushing it out. Above that I have metal poles coming up and I framed hog wire, or hog paneling actually, on that to keep them in. And the thing is, my animals, they don't want to escape. They're not trying to get out. They have broken the part of my cage because when I come up there to feed them, they're so ready for food. They just like lean on that stuff. They'll climb up the cage, like they're ready for the food. So make sure I'm probably gonna weld some rebar on there in that certain spots because they just get so excited that they want to like come eat. It's not like they're trying to escape or anything, but over my 5 years of having this thing, the hog paneling is finally at the point where it's like, if I cannot have keikis in those pens because the keikis will be able to get out easy. The adults have, and I'm raising monster-sized animals, like literally. So a quick comment.
How long do the logs for that do they have to be replaced? Logs.
Up to a decade, if not longer. The logs are like indefinite. You put good logs down, get them buried, they'll last almost a lifetime.
So is like Ohia better than Albesia, softwood hardwoods?
I haven't seen a difference in that. Hardwood, I imagine, would last centuries.
How big are your sows now?
One is at least 400, if not bigger. The other one's 350, like. So, yeah, and we just, I mean, it's so big I cannot, like, there's no way I can lift these animals. We actually had to use a winch to get my last animal out of the pen. I mean, when they're alive, it's easy, but we I don't know how many of you guys, like, don't want to hear about that kind of stuff. But, so I just keep it down. So, yeah.
So your, the iron roof you put on the bottom?
So I framed a wall, like I framed a wall, and then I took it on. So like as opposed to putting it on your roof, I just put it here sideways.
On the side.
You know. Yeah.
So from the roof to the top of the bed, is that the 8 foot there you're talking about?
So if my pig pen floor came up to this height right here, I would have to put the floor about 8 feet above that. Yeah, and that's gonna get my airflow happening.
What kind of supports for the iron? I mean, every 4 feet or 6 feet? Because there's a lot of material and a lot of animal weight moving around in there. I'm just wondering what you need to stabilize that so it doesn't.
I did studs on 2 feet, but I would, however, there's certain parts of my pen I'm gonna replace with hollow tile and cement and rebar and like get serious about it.
Going back to that Texas A&M stuff, you're really rotting corpses.
I don't know.
I was going to make a suggestion of what they're thinking is when you think about all of the processing plants and processing animals, what do they do with the parts of the animal that aren't allowed to be sold to the public?
Yeah, commercially. Hot dogs? No.
Mystery meat.
I don't know.
I thought it was just a way to actually take care of that waste of what they couldn't sell, I guess.
No. Texas A&M is concerned about my floor and what's happening. Not concerned about the animals at all. I don't care about animals.
No. What I'm saying though is once you process that animal, you have that waste material that you cannot sell. What do you do with it?
I don't have waste because I'm like one of those Native Americans that uses everything.
Oh, what I'm saying somebody else.
Oh, somebody else? Find someone who's a Native American. like literally, because all this, like the offal, all that stuff has uses, like, and buried under a banana tree at the very least, you know. But
and fertilizer.
Black soldier flies.
Black soldier flies, all kinds of things.
Yeah, but on the mainland they don't do that because I came from Georgia and the laws there as far as processing animals are just don't make any sense. You can, from one animal you can eat this organ, but from another animal you can't eat that same organ. Yeah, it's just.
That's a bigger fish than I want to fry at this point. The last little bit I want to get into is we will be having the Farmers Union United East Hawaii chapter meeting at my pig pen on September 16th, which is a Saturday. I don't know, I'll coordinate with Steve to see what's going on, but it's for our membership meeting.
What day?
September 16th, Saturday, at my pig pen.
What time?
It starts at 10 and goes till 2.
Contact, email, info?
Let's see, you can email me and I'll get it to my secretary. I happen to be the president of it, so I kind of got to deal with it. So put in the subject HFUU, but here.
10 to 2, HFUU, but that's not the first week. No, that's theirs, that's not.
And put HFU in the subject because I'm literally not going to read it. I'm just going to forward it to my secretary. Because by Drake W Gmail.
Doesn't matter if it's a capital D?
Doesn't matter. Emails are case insensitive, just so you know.
It also doesn't matter if they have periods in them.
For Gmail, I don't know about other services. Yeah, but you could put a period anywhere. I could be like.
Dr. Egg.
Dr. Egg. A Q.
Oh, Dr. AKU. I like that. Gmail, yeah, does not care about periods where you put them, so. So I'm going to go on to chickens, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about their feed and what I feed them and how I keep them, what's going in even better than what's coming out. So chickens, this same system works for chickens. What you want to do, and what I often do, is I use yard clippings for the floor. Now, you need about 6 to 8 inches or so of the material. When you're raising the keikis, I go really, because I was trained just by Master Cho in chicken raising, I go into extraordinary detail on how to raise the keikis all the way up. Lucky for you, I've already recorded 2 of those videos, and they're available on my website. So I'm not going to cover those now. The main thing I'm going to cover is how you got hens. How are you going to reduce the smell in your hen house?
What's the name of the website?
Can we write it?
Natural farming Hawaii.
Yeah, my mom's going to write it up for us. Sure, one points to the other, just put Natural Farming Hawaii. So, yeah, if you want to donate or contribute, because all that's good stuff. CGNF, I actually make, it's an organization, so I actually, by membership, it pays me to do this. The other one I just do out of the kindness of my heart. I just got a notification from my server company that I'm using too much resources, and I tried my hardest to compress and condense this thing down, but it looks like I may have to spend a little bit more money to keep that live. So anyway, just putting that out there as into the ethers. I think it's worth running it, just even if I don't get contributions, because I'm helping folks in Africa and I'm improving the lifestyle of all people across the globe that I've never even met. And that's pretty amazing for, also, small ego satisfaction. I'm like, but more than that, I'm trying to serve the bigger picture, bigger purpose here. So, and I'm willing to front some off cost. Chickens are easy because many of us already have them. Pigs a little bit more investment. They're bigger animals, they're going to need a stronger cage. Chickens, many of you already have them. making sure water's not getting in there. Your floor is not getting wet. So if you kind of have to extend out your roof or whatever, cantilever it out so you don't get water in there, it's going to help you a lot. The second thing is to go in and put grass clippings on your floor about 6 to 8 inches deep. You don't want to use material that is longer than 2 to 3 inches. If I put a long piece of straw in there, chicken makes some waste. The chicken is unable to stir it if it's long. It's just going to create a tatami mat of grossness. And you're going to be like, man, they just made a layer cake that you literally could pick up and like build a wall with it. Super gross. So a tiny cut up material, the chickens are going to be able to turn that stuff. Keep the floor going.
Does the grass clippings add too much moisture, or how is that? Is there like kind of like a
Dry out your grass clippings a little bit before you put them in there. Because fresh, wet grass clippings are going to also form a thick mat that's going to be kind of gross. So if you dry them out, stir them a little bit before you put them in, they'll be nice, dry, really persistent, dried out carbon that's going to be in there. Compost won't ferment. It'll just be nice, dry. Then come in, scatter the IMOs on the top, water the maintenance solution just lightly in there. You don't want to soak the thing down with wetness because if you're using grass clippings, you'll get that weird stuff happening. When I'm soaking the pig pen, it's because I'm using wood chips. It needs more moisture. Grass clippings don't. You just want to basically get the IMOs on the top, moisten enough so the microbes will start to colonize your grass clippings. Easy. The floor, you don't have to have logs. You don't have to have anything else. If you throw a bit of charcoal in there, scatter it in, like maybe a 10 by 10, you scatter in a 5-gallon bucket, just scatter it around. It's going to improve it over the long run. There are folks who are just using activated carbon to kind of help these situations out. But you get the carbon plus the microbes, and you're going to be way better off. I do not have very much information about what the NRCS requirements are. I asked the lady, and she was really there to focus on pigs, so she told me to follow up later. I have not done that yet. I don't know how many chickens you can have without getting permission from the state. Can I have chickens? Oh, yes, sir.
Actually, I heard that recently, and it's like you can't have more than 2 chickens anywhere in Hawaii.
In city limits and things, you may have limits of like 2. Outside of city limits, I think it's something like less than like 10,000 birds a year for broilers, like processing meat chickens. I don't know what it is for eggs. I don't.
I think for Hawaii County, it's ridiculously small.
If it is, all of us should go and fix that. Because we are Hawaii County, right? Even though certain fancy people pretend like they are, it's us.
Vote for mayor.
Because I ain't fancy. Right? On my campaign video. Who else will eat your shit? No, I don't know. I like those things. So chicken's way easier. Floor is much thinner. In my case, I'm not running them very high density. Okay, so before we get into the feed section of this, I had a couple kind of interesting comments, questions, kind of things that came up. One is, can we use this for human manure for our own composting toilets? Absolutely. She was using a commercial system that was kind of designed to take in wood chips and some other things. You can totally augment this by putting IMO 4 in with it in a commercial system. However, I believe that if you built a system just like the pig pen floor, assume I'm like a 150 to like 200 pound pig. right? So if I build a system that's gonna hold a pig that's that weight, the same system should work for me. So it's probably about twice the surface area of this table. So maybe like a 4x8 system that could totally 100% absorb my waste. However, the animals, chickens, pigs, livestock, are gonna kind of turn that waste periodically. So you need to get a rake and rake it just ever so often, just to kind of, turn it a little bit. Yeah, aerate it. But largely just pooping on the surface, making it happen. It would probably work. I don't know about all the regulations and everything there. That's really like unknown territory. But this system working, if it can handle pig waste, it could easily handle our waste. So think about it. The more we do it and we prove it out, then the easier it is to later go and say, look, we got these systems that work. Call up Texas A&M, be like, come study our stuff. And then we'll get the proper documentation. So for sure, LAB is good in all of our septic systems. If you're running any kind of septic system, put LAB in there. It'll help it digest so that you won't have as much buildup in any and all of them. You don't have to go buy expensive probiotics from the hardware store. You can easily make your own, and that's lactic acid bacteria. So as you're drinking some, just put it in there. You're all good to go. The next thing that I wanted to bring up to you is that in my studies of Hawaiian culture, they had pigs in confinement. The Hawaiian culture did not let the pigs go wild. It was too destructive for the environment. They create wallows, which creates mosquito havens. There was no mosquitoes here. They did all these systems to keep pigs in confinement. Oftentimes we go around and we see these rock walls, right, of these things, and those are Hawaiian dwellings. It is my belief, and this is just conjecture from my own thing, that those were actually the pig pens for the Hawaiians. So they took all their organic waste and they built these no-smell pig pens, and they kept their pigs in no-smell systems. Hawaiians were extraordinarily cleanly people. They loved being clean. You go talk to them about like a little bit of dirt on this, they're like, no, you clean that off. And so I do not think they were keeping stinky pigs in confinement near their hale, which is where they were living, right? So I believe they had this technology. They knew about it. They were raising no-smell Korean natural farming pigs. So when I call it Korean natural farming pigs, I believe if you go back and you research the way they were doing it, was actually this technology was global, was worldwide. Every indigenous culture knew about this stuff. That's why they call the fungus akua. Akua is that which gives life. People will commonly misinterpret that to just mean God. But why would you choose to name the fungus akua? That's like on the level of, think about that. Let that be your meditation, because that's what I go and I think about, and I'm like, bruh, these people had it. They knew what they were doing. They use these systems that really work well. The last thing is on sugar. I was informed this morning by Rio, please call the rice mill ahead of time if you're coming for sugar. I think I created a crazy thing for them where they're like, everybody's going to get sugar, and they're like, it's the nice lady that works in the office that kind of helps us and deals with it. So call them ahead of time, let them know you're coming, bring cash, maybe even leave a little tip for them. I don't know. They've been doing us a good favor.
Could we use sugarcane juice to boil that off, make our own sugar, and use that for these preparations?
If you are a glutton for punishment, go ahead.
One of the principles of this is to use what's around you.
Yeah.
So everything that we need is around us. And to have a fully sustainable homestead, you really need to be able to make your own sugar, grow your own rice, which there are upland varieties of rice that grow in drier areas. It does not have to be grown in patio.
I hear you.
And you can make your own rice.
I hear you. I'm going to interrupt you a little bit just to say that when you look at the way we refine sugar, we didn't have small little sugar mills at everyone's house to make sugar. We had one giant mill that we brought from acres around all to that one giant mill. Milling sugar is a thing of scale. When we grow enough sugar, and we're growing enough sugar to necessitate a mill, bruh, let's do it. That's what I'm trying, young people, what should I plant, bruh? Plant sugar. How are we gonna go survive the next generation? Well, it's because we plant enough sugar to necessitate a mill to make high quality sugar that we can all make together. Ulu Cooperative, Sugar Cooperative, Pork Cooperatives. These are the things that are gonna lift us out of poverty and put us as a juggernaut in the world of Hawaii's economy is thriving because we're growing it, right? So this is the forward-thinking things we need. This is why we got the Farmers Union. This is why I do what I do, to run this nonprofit, to bring folks together. You can look at China when they went to go make steel. They learned about steel, and they had a whole bunch of people making low-quality steel in their own homemade furnaces. Was crap. They wasted all this material to make it. We don't want to end up in that same situation. What we want to do is hui together, work together, build these big mills, build these things that are going to enable us to put this together, and not like another system of plantation slavery, but a way of independent cooperative that we're all thriving together, but work together to make the most high quality product that we can all do together. So join the organizations that exist. If you're thinking that way, be one team leader. We need folks like that. Question?
Yeah, okay, I had a church thing going, it was going nuts. I sponsored the Hawaiian Acres ethanol hui, and everybody's been drunk on the alcohol. But also the sugar cane was just going nuts, and then the pigs came in and big havoc, wiped out my sugar cane. I had other people growing sugar cane, it was doing really well, but it just affected a lot too.
And another reason why, as we start to work together, we start to malama aina. It's a classic way of saying take care of our land that feeds us. We can go get the pigs back in containment. We can go eliminate the mosquito. We can go eliminate the cookie frog. We can go eliminate the mongoose, right? We can return this back to the Garden of Eden. In my thinking, I don't kid myself to think that this place was just perfect, so far away, nothing was here. I know the caretakers of this land looked at this place and made it that good. They said, mosquitoes, we don't want that. Okay, we got to get the pigs in containment. Okay, we got to do this. They wanted to get this place back to the Garden of Eden, back to a paradise, back to this level of where they're at. They were world voyagers. The Hokulea just returned, right? Just proved once again that we're just knowing small little bits of the stories and the melees, you can go navigate the entire earth. Hawaiians were world travelers, but they kept this place, their honua, this little pico of the world, in pristine care and tradition. And then the Tahitians came and brought violence and whatever in these things, and I'm not going to get into that, but the original Hawaiians were all about food and having so much that they shared. All their statues has open mouth. Why? Because it's all about food, all about sharing, all about Allah. So, question?
You brought up about the sugar folks want you to call, and I found that saying the wheat, they also would appreciate a call. And also the gal there told me that they're going to stop carrying that.
Yeah.
Do you have, and offhand, something that you think will be a good substitute?
So that's why we have a co-op, and we're trying to get these things so that right now we're sending out to these businesses, and it's obviously irritating them.
I don't know why having more business would irritate somebody. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I'm from Hilo, I know why. Breast hassle, I go beach, all these people, breast, not going, that person's not getting paid anymore, and now they gotta deal with up 50 people coming in. Think about it. So we got a hui co-op, gotta have ownership in each of our corporations. Yeah? So that when more people come in, you're like, yes!
Buying power.
Fired up. So our whole economic model, boom, natural farming, put a foundation we can build upon, So I don't like to proselytize too much, but I do like to share those types of things because this is the future that I'm building. That's the thing I want to live in. in my whole life to do this. I can pass it on to my kiki and their kiki's kiki and give them that thing, the microbes that I kept in the fridge that they can pull out and celebrate later when they can restart the whole forest. Right?
Start now, they won't have to restore the whole forest.
Right, and I teach kids all the time, and people always tell kids, oh, you're the future. And I tell them, no, brah, I'm in this with you. Say, brah, I'm going to lead. I'm going to need you guys to freaking man up and be there, not like women human up and be there and be present with me. But I'm not just putting it all on their shoulders. I'm saying, brah, you'll be the first one. If I fall, you guys can pick me up, right? Let's talk about some food. It's my favorite subject on earth, besides light. So if I want to feed an animal, and these are already existing animals, there's a few different ways to go through keikis. Keikis eat different food, right? We don't cook a steak and feed it to a kid. Like, it's not gonna work, right? We feed them mother's milk, we feed them soft, mushed up bananas, we feed them things that can digest, right? What I'm going to show you right here, right now, is for adults. It's so that, they're already through the keiki stage. So there's considerations, there's a lot of different things. But the general formula is this right here. 30% grass, 30% meats and or feed, 30% fruits, and 10% IMO4.
That's for pigs, yeah.
So think of a wild pig or a wild chicken going out. Are they going to be eating this diet naturally?
Maybe, not IMO4.
So if the forest was intact, they're eating the IMO4 off the ground, right? They're getting all those microbes, they're getting that fermented food, they're getting all that stuff. They're probably going to eat some grass. You can see your dog grind some grass. All animals will eat grass, especially the pigs will just graze. They raise some that are just pasture raised, they'll just graze on that and the grubs they can dig out. The meats and feeds, yeah, they'll eat that as much as they possibly can, right? Go see a dead pig in the bushes, what's the first thing to eat it? More pigs, right? They're like, oh, they're the meat. Right? So they're going to eat those meats and feeds. If they can't find that, what are they going to do? They're going to dig up your lawn looking for your grubs, right? They're interested in that high protein meat, grub, feed that they can get. They'll eat fruits. Lots of them. One thing I noticed about the fruits is you never see the pig climbing the tree and picking the beautiful fruit. Which fruits do the pigs go for? The most rotten, gross fruit. Why? Because that thing is loaded with, again, meats. Right? All the maggots, all those things growing in there. That is the meats and the protein they're after. The protein is the hardest thing to obtain in the tropics. Grass, easy. Fruits, easy. Protein, not that easy. So the pigs are smart. They go and they eat all that gross stuff that we don't, we say, oh no, I just want to eat the nice fruit. And then, we got to obtain our protein source elsewhere.
Grass is protein.
Correct, with the correct fermentation. Is the grass protein? No.
It's amino acids.
When you absorb it and you ferment it, the microbes create proteinaceous bodies which become protein. Right? So even if this piece of thing has a protein content of X, I can chemically say, like 15% protein content. Is it even available? No. Still gotta ferment it. Still gotta ferment it, and those microbes will turn that into protein content and I'll grow living bodies on it, and now I'll get that protein bioavailable. But even though grass may have protein, it's not protein until you ferment it. And then 10% IMO4 is the forest floor or their own waste that they're eating. Like pigs will eat their own poop too. If it's out and about, they'll grind it. So when I say IMO4, I say IMO4 because in America for regulations, you cannot say pig waste or manure. You say that, you can be, not standing up here, you can be standing behind bars. I don't know. I seen what they do to raw milk people. I don't want to be there. But 10% of it is IMO4. You can take your imagination to think about what that entails. So, do I just feed them just straight up this? Nope. I ferment it first. So what I do is I take all of these things, and in the case of how we're doing it on our farm, we take these things and we put it into a 5-gallon bucket. I add IMO4 to it. Although I add that IMO4 that I passed around in here, it didn't smell that good. It's my low quality IMO4. Chock full of microbes, mostly bacterial. Perfect, that's what I want. The good fungal stuff, I'm going to use that for my trees. I want highly bacterial based IMO for animal feed. If I have the fungal stuff, it's fine, there's bacteria in there too. But I want the bacteria to feed them. Bacteria spawn fast. They also break this material down really fast. That's what I want. So I inoculated this stuff with the IMO4. Then I moisten it. What do I moisten it with? Well, I put in the maintenance solution. Because that has the OHN in there to prevent pathogens from growing. It has the FPJ to really quickly stimulate this whole system. And it has the vinegar, which is going to help this whole system stay clean. Plus, it's going to be a catalyst for digestion. So I mix those into my foods. Now I set it for 24 hours. So today, I'm making tomorrow's food. Today, I'm feeding yesterday's food. So I'm always making their food 24 hours in advance. I make it every day, I feed it every day, but I'm using it from a day previous. There are other systems to set up where you can ferment longer term, longer scale. So I can ferment up to like a week kind of thing. When you ferment longer, what you're getting is more complex fungal hyphae to grow. You're getting more microorganisms to grow. I'm taking starting material and turning it into like bodies like me, which I'm much more nutritious than the elements I'm made up of, right? As a living being, I'm more nutritious. The longer you ferment these things up to a certain point, the more digestible it becomes. So this is where I'm really exploring into these animal feeds. So I'm really excited to go to Korea this September to learn more of this. Because this really gets me, like how do we exactly ferment these feeds? Seen it done for chickens really well. Same formula all the way through. Seen it done with, a bunch of different materials to make this same recipe work. But if in your head you understand these are the different components, basically grass. Why do we put grass? Cheap. Right, who pays money for grass? Nobody around here, right? Certain types of grass maybe, but cheap, easy, grows fast right around here. The meats and feeds adds all those proteins, all that component of it. Plus you can use your compost for a certain amount of chickens, your food waste, or supplement them with a little store-bought feed. Fruits are often really easy to obtain around here. And the IMO4 you can make yourself. Question?
So is this just for like omnivores and herbivores, or like ruminating animals?
I don't know about like cows and goats and stuff. I would think it's very similar. You could probably increase this one and reduce these. So taking the grass and inoculating it with IMO4 and just having a little of these in there, not very much, I would imagine is how to adapt the recipe. But chickens, pigs, my cows, I don't feed them. I just put salt out there for them.
But you have a good ground forage for them.
It's actually pretty terrible. I'm really working on improving my pastures. Question?
You're gonna buy feed for chickens? Do you have one you recommend?
So our chicken feed right now, it's one of my goals by the end of this year to have them so that chickens are eating from my property. But right now I'm going and buying the pellet and the scratch and mixing that with other grass and fruits.
So you're talking about mixing all this stuff together and fermenting it?
Yes.
Including the scratch?
Yes.
The IMO4 in this, is it the liquid or?
This is a solid IMO4 that I'm putting into there.
So it's after it's been in the pile?
Yeah.
It's not, okay.
Yeah, it's a solid IMO4 that I'm putting into there. The NRCS, or the feeding regulatory guys, also have problems with you feeding them soil. So a lot of times this will be IMO3 if you read American produced documentation. But before they eat the soil's good for them. It has all kinds of minerals and nutrients for them in the soil, and eating the soil is good for them. But because the soil, you can't tell if it's, which guy is in there, they have problems with that. Question?
Percentages by weight? Percentages by weight or by?
I believe it's by weight. Yeah, I believe. Questions?
What about for rabbits?
I've never raised rabbits personally, but I think they would eat a very similar diet to this. They only have one stomach. I would think this is a very similar diet for them. Yep.
Drink.
I have a question about goats. So if I'm making my lab to make my IMOs, is it okay to use goat milk for that? And then thus turn the IMO4 onto the goat's pen?
You can use goat milk.
And so all the gradient down to IMO4 is still looking good.
Milk has very little to do with IMO4.
So I'm in the lab.
Yeah, lab lactic acid bacteria from any source, as long as it's not nut milk like we talked about. Oh, you should have been in my class in Washington. We got into nut bags. They're really good strainers for the LAB. Yeah. But someone asked me where you can buy a nut bag, and I was like, yeah, right? Amazon, Mamo Street, whatever.
I asked that very same question, and it's really to sell paint strainers. That's what they recommend. Paint strainers, if you want to make nut butter or something like that, or some kind of fine jelly bag strainer.
Yeah, yes, correct. And I just bought a hash bubbler bag kind of thing. That 220 micron, really durable. Recommend those. For bubble hash.
What about using some seawater to moisten?
Yes.
Can we do that?
Yes, so my mom was asking about using seawater to moisten it. Including some sea salt in this is a good idea. It's a little bit more advanced than I want to talk about here right now.
Sorry.
But, yes.
So you're looking for what percentage, I mean, the same kind of 65% moisture where you can kind of hold it together, or we don't want it wet, obviously, because that'll go out real quick.
Because I'm only fermenting for 24 hours, I tend to do about 80% moisture content. This stuff is wet, but I'm also doing it with dry grains, which soaks up a lot of that moisture. And when I get that stuff then, because I've included lactobacillus, it comes out really aerobic. It's actually warm when I'm feeding it to them. It's a little compost pile for them. And but I am learning more and more about these feeds. When I go to learn natural farming, these are my questions that I will ask to get more refinement on these.
Right. What do you feed the chickens in? What do you put their food in when it's in this, kind of moist condition?
By the time I feed them, it's relatively dried out, just because the microbes will eat that moisture overnight. And I feed them in a trough that is in the Korean Natural Farming book. You can look.
The same kind with a little roller on it so they can't stand on it and cook in their food. Right on.
About how much food do you actually give the chickens? You want something that they'll eat up in 15 minutes or 2 hours? Or...
So this depends on what function you're growing your chickens for. If you're growing for broilers, you want to have enough food that it will remain so that the 24 hours later when you're feeding them, they will still have just the tiniest amount of food, so they never ran out of food. You want to have constant access to food because you want broilers to grow really fast. Egg layers, you want to feed them less than that. The exact bit of it, I'm not 100% certain on it off the top of my head. I do have all that stuff kind of written down for me. I'm feeding them, so basically after about 4 hours, the food is gone. That also prevents rats from eating it overnight and other birds from coming in and all these other things. I don't want to feed the whole neighborhood.
Do you feed them at night or in the morning? Or?
Best time to feed your chickens is about 10 in the morning. Why? That's when they're waking up and that's when they'd be out foraging naturally, kind of thing going on.
Ours are up at like 5.
Yeah, but they're not, you notice the chicken is like, in a chicken in nature isn't up eating until about that time. And that's when it's starting to eat. You can then trade it, put food out, then collect your eggs. So you kind of make that exchange. You know, it's like you give them something, they're giving you something. They recognize that relationship and actually go with it.
What time?
10 is about best. Always the 0est time, right? Rule 0 is when you can. Right? Today they didn't get fed at 10, they'll get fed when I get home. You know? And I also feed my pigs in the afternoon, so oftentimes my animals end up being fed in the afternoon. But the chickens are best to feed them 9, 10 in the morning.
I just feed the pigs once a day.
Both animals I just feed.
Because then they're working through the bedding.
Correct.
I understand the system is a contained system. Is it possible to use this system with chickens that are free range also?
Yep. So Master Choa was talking about, so you got an orchard, you want to clean up an orchard. So it's every like 50 meters or so, you can put a chicken house. And you have a flock there within that zone every 50 meters. And that they're kind of territorial, they'll stay with their own zone, they'll stay there. And you don't need fencing or anything, you can run them out in a pasture. He was telling Chris that for his orchard, why don't you run chickens? Turns out food safety won't let you have animals in the ground pick things for, you know, because some microbes might be on there. But totally running them out in your pasture. Like I was saying, you know, their flocks are pretty well contained.
Well, the similar thing with like pigs, you know, when they like go out and maybe the mice is a pig and grass and do some work. One of these pigs for like keep like flat out.
Yep.
This seems to be
So the question is, if I want to move my pigs into a pig wagon to have them completely obliterate a spot for me so that I can get rid of cane grass or whatever else and just have them total an area, awesome and cool. Put them in a pig wagon, move them out to that spot, keep them moved, you know, give them, you know, don't put them in the baking sun, they won't be too happy with you, make sure they got water and food and stuff. But move them in pig wagons to where you want, and then primarily bringing them back into the confined system for when they're raising babies. You know, that's a nice, good environment for them. In fact, they're a little bit healthier in the confined system than they are out in the nature, just because of the way things are today. But totally, move them how you want, and then follow them with a chicken wagon behind that, you know, and do these systems that Joe Salatin has been a great pioneer in. They make sense. You know, just feeding your animals is going to cost you all the time. If you can put your animals to work for you, it's less you have to do. So be real smart about it, you know. But you know, we have this great confinement where you can bring them in. I personally don't find a need for having a chicken run. Some folks do, but.
Just going back to what you're saying about every 50 meters for the chicken houses, are you putting that litter system in around every chicken house as well?
What you are giving the chickens in your 50 meters out there is a egg laying box, sort of roosting zone, or they might just roost in your trees. watering system and a feeder, but you don't have to feed them as much as you would if they're contained, because they're going to eat all kinds of bugs and seeds and just whatever's out in the field, forage, yeah. But having a little bit of supplement for them, helps them out.
I have a question. If you, like, this has nothing to do with what you're talking about right now, but it's about the layering of the bed. What would happen if you didn't put the plastic underneath it?
So, like I was saying, he's asking if I don't put the plastic liner in my thing. If you have more than 5 pigs, you will be in big trouble. If you have 4 pigs, go for it. That's my system. Doesn't have a thing on the bottom. In fact, I did one of the things. I put a plastic thing. You know what the pigs did? They ate the plastic. So there may be still plastic on the bottom.
So
I don't know.
It's not really necessary to put plastic on the bottom, right? Or is it?
If you are going with NRCS, they'll have their own list of things you have to do.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So in the small thing, like I've been talking about with you, NRCS is not to worry about, right? I'm having like 2 goats, 4 chickens in my own little garden. I don't need to worry about this national regulatory system.
I do not believe unless your neighbors complain about you. So get them fermented well. It's largely driven by a complaint system for all of our state regulations. So if you're doing it well and you're happy with your neighbors, you're hooking them up some goat milk and whatever, and they're stoked with you.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
Really, give
right?
me some vegetables and some goat milk, yeah.
So, and I'm not telling you to do anything illegal here. Make your own choices on what you're going to do. Just realize that's how the system works.
What's this NRCS stand for?
National Resource Conservation Service.
Okay.
It is a subset of the USDA. The United States
And the
Drug
Soil and Water
Administration.
Conservation District as well.
No, it's the Department of Agriculture. It's not the Drug Administration. That's a different one. So any other questions on this? If you go look up the video, you'll see how we do keikis for chickens. It's really a good thing. There's a whole system. I go over it in like pretty excruciating detail. I'm really looking forward to learning about the baby pigs, because I raise my baby pigs and they don't size as much as I think they should, as quick as they could. And so instead of just pumping them full of like grower or antibiotic, this or that, I really want to learn how to do it naturally. So I'm always learning more. Appreciate it. So, last question.
I don't like to butcher my own chickens. Is there any mobile chicken butchering facility on the island?
No, there is no mobile butchering facility for chickens. I don't even think there's one. Like Puna Chicks, I know installed their own. So I don't know. Maybe you could talk to Emily and see, but I think that would get really messy for them and probably not be worth the liability risk.
Make friends with
If you have less than like certain amount of birds, you can just process them.
Yep, but I don't want to do it myself.
Make a deal with your neighbor.
Make a friend.
Make a deal with your neighbor. 20%.
Yeah. So yes.
Okay, so I know you're not going over the KT chickens, but I heard it's, okay, so when they brood chickens, you can be off grid because the composting makes the heat of the babies. Yes?
Correct. The IMO will make enough heat to raise KTs done right.
Could you talk about your level 2?
Oh, okay. Okay, so what we'll do here is I'll do a little bit about what's coming up for level 2, and then we'll award our level 1 certificates. So I do a level 2 training, which basically all these things that I've done this nice great hand waving and exposed you to. Level 1 is an exposure, so you've all seen this. You're all been able to do it. This one was like really long and really well put out, so I hope everyone has a really good idea. Largely level 2 is you doing it yourself. So I'm sitting there, we're talking about it a little bit, but you are creating these things in front of a certified instructor. And then there is a software application that you go and you upload all these checklists. It works, trust me.
Since when?
No, if it doesn't work for you, I want to figure out exactly the use case it's failing because it works. Other people completed it, so I know it works. Basically, you checklist each one of these steps that's vital for us. Reason for that is we're trying to move into a scenario where we can have ISO approval, which is the International Standards Organization, which is what the rest of the world recognizes as organic, certain ISO requirements. We also want to have USDA approval. And what I am interested in as Korean natural farming is selling medicinal food. So your food is medicinal, but it's also grown with medicine. And so the whole way through, people go to the store and they, instead of going and saying, I need zucchini and squash, they go to the store and they say, I'm going to buy everything with this medicinal label on it. Turns out I got pears and you know, whatever, you know, and these things. And now you're going to make a meal from that. So changing our paradigm in terms of how we shop, that people, today you go like shop for organic and try to eat better in certain ways. I want to be able to go shop and know that this is like even a deeper level than that. Some people call it beyond organic. I just tend to call it like food. You know, I want to go buy food. And I want to exchange with everybody. So putting in a little bit of orthodox standards, saying you got to do certain things these ways, not to take away your Gnostic direct relationship with the Creator and that part of it, but to give us certain things that we can go, so we know that if I'm selling under this label and you're selling under this label, we're selling at the same high standards, and that enables a lot of us to participate. So getting level 2 certification enables you to start making these things at your place and to say, okay, we've reached this level of integrity, and now we can start to grow. And as you grow, then keeping a record of that so it's auditable, so I know. And so it excites me because I love building this computer infrastructure to make it so your smartphone can just pick, done, like 2 button clicks, because also a farmer and I don't want to hassle with a bunch of crap. So make it as easy as possible. We can all market on a higher brand. And that's where you guys are on the leading edge of this. It's us, we're setting the precedent. We are moving forward with this. So as you participate and you get the training and we get the official stamp on you, then we are defining this. And as I said with the pigs, we did it here in Hawaii. We did it so well that now it's approved to go all the way across America. America is one of the most influential countries in agriculture. Everybody's trying to copy what we do, right? No one's trying to go like do Honduras agriculture out. You know, everyone wants to do American agriculture, big stuff that works, right? If we can change that to be a Pono system and the world wants to mimic that, the whole world is going to be coated in beneficial microbes. The whole ecosystem, all the runoff from our farms is going to be better, not worse. So it's up to us, we, you, everyone, I, to do this right. We're on the leading edge. So mahalo.
One question. I missed like 2 or 3 classes of this in first level. Second level, it's like watching a movie. You watch it twice, you get all the details. Do you know when the next first level class is going to be?
Next level 1 will be Jason's teaching some of them. They are listed on cgnfhawaii.org. That's how I'm going to do it. That's how I'm going to put them out. If you're a member, you'll get a newsletter that'll tell you when things are coming up. And that's how I'm going to do it.
The cgnf.hawaii.org?
cgnf-hawaii.org.
You have to be.
I will write it right here. cgnf-hawaii.org. Oh, figure out the R. That's org. Again, case insensitive.
Oh, never mind.
When you say case insensitive, what do you mean?
You can speak captain, no, I can't.
It's all small letters?
It's all small
It
letters.
can be all, in fact, make sure it's all caps. Like you're yelling it into the browser, like.
Find it now.
Do you have to be a member in order to take these levels, and what would be the benefits of being a member?
So benefits to being a member is you empower folks like me to continue doing things like this. I really need your support. I just quit my job at the school, so I'm now like, this is my deal. Not at the elementary school.
Oh, the kids are gonna miss you.
I know, right? It's tragic. I just, oh man, I couldn't.
Oh, we need you in school.
Right, so I'm gonna train you all, and you know who's hiring. So it empowers me to do this. We get announcements out. It makes it all viable. Without your support, it's not there. It's like, why join the National Wildlife Fund or whatever? It's like because you're helping. Hopefully, it's it's helping these get the message out, promulgating these things. And the more I've done it, I'm actually withholding a bit of information to put it behind this paid wall to like make it so people join. So, like my heart, I just like try to give everyone new stuff, but I realized, right, just join. Come on, make it easy so I don't have to like threaten you by hiding stuff.
Can you tell us the dates for your level 2 training that's coming up?
It starts on the 21st of August and it runs for 10 days. It is 6 out of those 10 days. It's 3 hours.
Will the half-day field trips be on the same days as the 3 hours?
TBD.
Like scheduling.
Be determined.
Yeah, I haven't fully gotten it out yet. I'm not exactly sure. I probably put it on the other days, although I want to enable flexibility to go do other things besides just this and to have like rest days. So, yes.
If we sign up online for the level 2 certification, is there some sort of reimbursement if you're a member? Because there's only one option.
Lower price.
I believe it's all set up there. I don't know. I'll double check it because I believe if you're a member, it says lower price, but there is no reimbursement. I may have raised my price to $200. I don't know.
It's 200.
Yeah. We're getting our certification committee together, and in fact, so each of these certificates that I issue to you costs $20 from me. So every certificate I print, I go out, I gotta pay that. We're getting that together. So same like level 2. So before Kim and I were just freestyling kind of cowboy out of our garages. We're really getting this set. So, and now with that being set, there's a higher cost to it because I really got to keep this stuff in order. We are running a piece of software to keep it all going, so anyway, question?
So for the level 2, as far as supplies and stuff, are you guys gonna have some of that together, or we gotta go find them all and stuff?
Included to do the hands-on there, your homework, you'll have to find your own.
Okay, so if you run this series, second series, and then are you going to run another second series at some point?
Level 2 is we're aiming as a certification committee to offer it quarterly.
And you don't have to have done all of these to go to the level 2, correct?
You don't, but it is so much easier for us as instructors to have you exposed to this stuff, to already have taken one of these, that I think we may make it mandatory after this. So this first one you don't have to, but since you're all here, you all got it, so you're all good to go. But we're all, it's a running start, so.
All the handouts that he's given for these classes are on the Plant Aloha webpage. So it's hawaiiansanctuary.com/plantaloha. That also has all the past handouts from every class, and we'll have future ones too. So if you missed anything, you need a grant.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
How often, for people that have joined, how often do you do things like emails?
Monthly newsletter via email, and we also have a monthly meeting every second Tuesday. It's moved now to Apuni Center. Unfortunately, I would like to say it's at Sutin, but it's moved to Apuni Center. but it's every second Tuesday for the past like 9 years.
That's the farm.
That is natural farming meeting, my blood, sweat, and tears that a lot of people have helped me to make happen.
One of visits we can.
Yes. Yes.
The HFUU meeting that's on here?
Yes.
Is that one, what's the date of that and where is that?
Michelle's here to announce the HFU meeting happening.
So, okay, so I'll just do the quick little announcement. So next Thursday at 5 o'clock, from 5 to 8 p.m. So we have class in the morning with Ginger John, who we explained earlier is a longtime farmer here, and he is the owner of this, him and his family own the Sweet King Cafe. So they produce all the food that goes into that establishment, and I don't know, you just get like his years of expertise on being a successful, sustainable farmer. And then the HFUU meeting is at 5 o'clock, and Wade is going to talk. He's just coming back from being gone for a month planting trees in El Salvador and teaching permaculture in Guatemala. So he might talk a little bit about his adventures seeing permaculture in other places in the world, and this kind of like volunteerism and what all that's about. So he's going to talk at the meeting, and we're going to have the local or potluck as usual. So bring your mainly local ingredients potluck dish. We get that you can't put everything local in there yet, but we're going to get there one day because we're going to create a sustainable island. Yeah, I'm with Drake on all that. And I so appreciate you coming and teaching all these people for, I mean, you got paid to come. Most people are coordinated with, well, you and Wade are the easiest. Everyone else has been really great too, and we're going to have so many more awesome speakers this year, and yeah, like all these classes are free for y'all, but there is a cost involved, and you know, if we don't get full funding by next year, then it's going to have to be potentially a sliding scale situation or scholarships or do something, because yeah, there's a cost to running all these programs, and so if you can, if you have the means to donate, please do, or if you have the means to talk to other funders or investors who could donate for these programs so they can remain free, do that as well. And contact me, my email's here, michelledavid71@gmail, and Michelle with one out. So that's my pitch for fundraising. You can put it in the bowl. We also have, you could donate to, on the Hawaiian Sanctuary site, it's hawaiiansanctuary.com/donate. And that's where you could send other rich people that email to this program.
I have a question about the KNF meeting moving to El Pony Center. So with the potluck portion of that, we need to bring our own utensils and things now?
Yes, Jackie will have some available. Just try to bring your own anyway, and we will be, yeah, we'll be there meeting there at least until December. We got the room reserved from now till December. I'm not sure what will happen the next fiscal year, but we'll be there. And I really didn't want to move the meeting, but literally it's like people got to stand up and stuff, and people are like, oh, we need a bigger venue. So thanks for making it so popular. I know I saw a couple of you guys there. I hope to see everyone there. Now that we got a bigger spot, let's like make it so big that we got to move on to an even larger venue, and the county's gonna be like, what is going on?
Is that the HFUU meeting?
Nope. I run 2 organizations. I am a secretary for CGNF, and I also run Natural Farming Hawaii, which is the club meeting that everyone goes to. And then I'm also president of the East Hawaii chapter of HFUU, which Steve is the president of the Puna chapter, and that's a political thing. And it really goes, and that's the whole thing, and we run that way. So if you want to get policies such and such, bring that to the HFUU. If you want to learn farming stuff, which the HFUU also does, because we all, you know, we want to support farmers, bring it, you know, somewhere there. So before you guys all go, I mean, I'd like it if everyone could like be here for our certificate award ceremony, because you know, so a couple of you guys went, actually a fair amount. I think I had like 5 people registered the first day, but look how many I got now. this certificate says that you've completed a level 1 exposure requirements in green natural farming, philosophy, technology, and its applications conducted by Choa Global Natural Farming Hawaii, which I represent. I also happen to be the instructor, but I'm also the certification chair. It's also signed by Jackie Burrell, our president. And we've been issuing these under the authority of Master Choa and CGNF, which is the global organization that we're part of. So I'd like to call up William. Sweet. Will Haas. Yeah. Tarika.
Thank you so much.
Shirley. Yo. Ronald Larkin. Ron Ron Hansen. And why don't Peggy come up too?
Thanks so very much.
Thank you. Jackie told me they supply the honey to Sweet King Cafe. So. Mark Kimball. Madison Garcia.
Thank you.
So she's also taking the level 2 training right now with Kim Chang.
It's been over.
Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
So she took it and also has that going. So she's working on her homework, right?
Yep.
Maddie Smith.
Picture.
I'll keep you.
Hey.
Thanks, Ann.
Leo, who's traveled all the way from Papua New Guinea. Jonathan. Thank you. John Michael. John Stinson. David Forsyth. And so he stayed late a couple times to spray the IMOs for us. Keep that all going. Call it Chris and Lisa.
They get the distance away.
Didn't go in the water. No, extra water there. Over here, not there. Thank you. Yeah, these guys might get the distance award, right? All the way from Canada by the right side of Canada.
East side.
Cindy Dawson. Yeah, Cindy. Ben Lowe. and Bettina.
Turkey talker.
Okay, and then I have 3 more, but I did not receive the $20, or at least have a decent record of it where I could say that it happened. So, if you did pay for this and you're fully sure, otherwise you got to come out of my pocket. So if you're cool with it, then Nayana.
I gave you $20 in cash.
Yeah, no, a whole bunch of stuff happening that day, so I prefer checks. And did you? Yeah. Okay, cool. If as long as I get that, then Joanne. Thank you. And Leanne. Okay, cool. Well, I saved $20. Cool. Well, so I know it's 12:30 now. I just want to thank you guys all for coming out. I really it was moving to see so many folks here and to convey this to you. And I hope you can get things growing. If you don't have my contacts, you can get it. But I do professional consultation help, or the meetings are there too. So may the beneficial microbes be with you.
As a thank you to everybody, we have a chocolate dance and party, a harvest chocolate dance and party on Friday night, tomorrow night, which should be great. I have some passes here. So as a reward, whoever wants passes, come up and grab them. Free passes, $10 value each. Love to see you guys there. Thank you. Thank you, great.